More books have been written about Napoleon since his death in 1821 than the number of days passed until today. Napoleon Bonaparte was a brilliant military strategist, a charismatic leader, and a transformative statesman whose vision and ambition reshaped Europe in the early 19th century. Napoleon was born on August 15, 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica, into a relatively modest family of Italian descent. His earlier life was shaped up by the turbulent political and social landscape of Corsica, which had recently become a French territory. He started learning French at the age of 10 and spoke with a heavy accent. Napoleon was very good at mathematics from an early age. He believed a good general must have a very good understanding of mathematics in order to think clearly in all situations. He was also gifted with an incredible memory. In school, he could remember logarithms of numbers up to 30. Napoleon had a passionate interest in history. He read a lot of biographies and history books from his school library. In particular, he admired ancient heroes like Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great and could even recite passages from Virgil. The reading of history very soon made me feel that I was capable of achieving as much as the men who are placed in the highest ranks of our annals. Napoleon received a solid education at military schools in mainland France, where his exceptional intellect and leadership capabilities started to emerge. His early military career during the French Revolution rose him to prominence, highlighting his strategic acumen and ambition. By never entering a cafe or going into society, by eating dry bread and brushing my own clothes so that they might last the longer, I lived like a bear in a little room with books for my only friends. These were the joys and debaucheries of my youth. Napoleon's rise through the army was really notable, though not unusual given the political and social climate of that time. His advancement was remarkable. He spent 5.5 years as a second lieutenant, a year as a lieutenant, 16 months as a captain, only 3 months as a major, and skipped the colonel rank entirely. In December 1793, at the age of 24, Napoleon was promoted to general after less than 4 years of active duty, despite having been on leave for a significant portion of his service. Napoleon was a genuine intellectual who read extensively, enjoyed discussing theology, and appreciated music and drama. He engaged with the leading thinkers of his time like Goethe and Berlioz. Goethe said that Napoleon's mind was the best ever produced by the world, and that he is enlightened by reason. Napoleon did not only read but also wrote about 60 books, pamphlets, novels, philosophical treatises, histories, and open letters before the age of 26. Taken together, they display his intellectual prowess and development. There were few things Napoleon valued more than books. He almost never went anywhere without his portable library. On his way to Egypt, he took a collection of 125 books carrying history, philosophy, theology, and many other topics. Among his collection included works from Captain Cook, Montesquieu, Goethe, and ancient authors like Livy and Caesar. Inspired by Alexander the Great, Napoleon wanted his expeditions to become cultural and scientific events. On his way to Egypt, he brought along 167 experts that include a variety of botanists, chemists, historians, and even a poet. After his death, a list of 370 books from his personal library in Longwood revealed his diverse literary interests. These included the works of Robinson Crusoe, Paradise Lost, and the famous Decline and the Fall of Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon. On Christmas Day, 1797, Napoleon was elected to the Institut de France. With the help of prominent scientists like Laplace and Monge, he was able to collect 305 votes out of 312. Napoleon viewed religion pragmatically. recognizing its social utility rather than its spiritual mysteries. He believed religion is essential for keeping social order and avoiding class conflict. He noted society requires inequality, and that inequality requires a moral code, which in turn requires religion. In 1816, Napoleon started to dictate his memoirs when he was exiled on St. Helena. The result, the Memorial of St. Helena, was published 2 years after his death in 4 volumes. That became the greatest bestseller of the 19th century. Napoleon once said that perhaps his most lasting achievements are not in the area of war, but in fact the law that he gave to his empire. The Code Napoleon was a blend of Roman and common law applied uniformly to all French territories. It consisted of more than 2,000 articles written in 493 pages in simple prose that could be understood by anyone. It codified the duties of government and citizens and created a relationship between them based on contract and freedom. The Code Napoleon simplified the complex legal landscape of France that was cluttered by 14,000 decrees and 42 regional courts in 1789. It unified this into a coherent set of laws applicable to all citizens. One should not overburden oneself with over-detailed laws. Law must do nothing but impose a general principle. It would be vain if one were to try to foresee every possible situation. Experience would prove that much has been omitted. The code guaranteed equality before law for all French people, protected them from arbitrary arrest, and allowed them to enter in any kind of legal context that they want. It abolished the privileges of birth and established total religious toleration, separating the church and the state. Napoleon promoted the idea that careers should be open to all tenants. He provided his council with a clear direction and policy guidelines focused on authority, realism, a contempt for privilege, and a respect for social hierarchy. Included in his approach was also meticulous attention to detail. Napoleon actively engaged in discussions, asking a lot of questions and seeking definitions of the most common terms. He encouraged debates and did not make a decision until he heard a lot of different opinions about that. He was also unashamed of his lack of detailed knowledge and used these discussions to educate himself. In a debate, Napoleon admitted to the esteemed jurist François Tronquet that he sometimes realizes his errors after making statements. This humility and willingness to acknowledge his shortcomings portray a different picture than the egomaniac he is often considered to be. In the 3,680 days of his imperial rule, he was in Paris for only 955, and in these he remade France. When at home, he regularly presided, sometimes twice a week, the Council of State. He worked hard to get things done. Sometimes he rose up at 3 a.m. to begin his workday. Napoleon's work ethic was unmatched. Some council meetings lasted up to 10 hours, and after that, he was holding sessions to discuss and elaborate on different topics. His counselors, no matter what their stance was later on in his life, testified to his dynamism, ability to engage with the topic, and relentless pursuit of mastering every subject. Napoleon's ability to quickly grasp topics and make decisive decisions truly impressed his counselors. Despite being young, he brought a certain level of clarity, precision, and logical reasoning to the discussions. His tireless work ethic and ability to connect different facts and opinions in a vastly distributed administration were truly unparalleled. Napoleon had a keen understanding of people, believing that true character only shows with age, not with appearances or words. He believed that everyone is driven by self-interest. To him, every action had some personal motive like vanity, fear, or ambition. According to the great historian Will Durant, he was seldom brutal, often kind, playful, good humored, but his sense of humor had been weakened by hardship and battle. There is no question about his generosity nor about his readiness to forgive. Maneval, who spent 13 years close to Napoleon, found him to be unexpectedly patient, indulgent, and easy to please, contrary to his initial beliefs of unpredictability. Maneval's fear began to dissipate as he observed Napoleon's kind interactions with Josephine, his dedicated loyalty from his officers, and his amicable relationships with his counselors and staff. To live is to suffer, and a human being who is worthy of honor must always struggle for mastery of self. Napoleon worked his staff extremely hard, but he was also considerate and won their admiration. A lot of his personal staff and servants voluntarily wanted to go with him into exile, although the British government did not allow all of them. This fact alone is a testament to his credibility as an employer. A woman who worked for his wife Josephine remembered Napoleon as an extremely polite and very forgiving of minor errors. His chamberlain praised Napoleon's gentle behavior and noted that very few people are so level-headed. Napoleon's letters and comments reveal his charm, occasional candid self-appraisal, and a sharp sense of humor. This sense of humor enabled him to make jokes even when facing catastrophe. His ability to maintain levity and wit even when facing adversity adds a unique dimension to this really charming personality. Ironically, Napoleon divorced his wife Josephine to get an imperial heir. Yet, it was her grandson and not Napoleon's offspring that became the Emperor of France later on. Today, the direct descendants of Josephine occupy the throne of Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, and Luxembourg, while the descendants of Napoleon do not have any such position. Although Napoleon was a man of great ambition and ability, after his defeat in 1814, where he lost his family, friends, his empire, actually everything, he attempted suicide. But his staff and his surgeon saved him. Napoleon was directly at war with the United Kingdom for more than 12 years. Yet, after his defeat in 1815, he requested asylum and expressed a desire to live in the United Kingdom. After his defeat in 1814 and his exile to the island of Elba, Napoleon plotted to come back to France as soon as he could. So, eventually in 1815, he embarked on an extremely audacious mission of conquering a major European country with only 8 vessels and 1,142 men. But he did it. His charisma and promises of restored glory persuaded many to join his cause, and eventually in March 1815, he triumphantly entered Paris and retook his throne without firing a single shot. This story is a testament to the great capability of this very impressive man. Napoleon fought 60 battles in his life, losing only 7. His understanding of the battlefield, the topography, and the ability to maneuver his troops was truly remarkable. Napoleon was a charismatic leader who inspired deep loyalty and admiration from his troops and followers. He had a commanding presence and a gift for oratory, able to deliver speeches which instilled great pride in his troops and a sense of purpose and meaning. Napoleon's strategy relied heavily on living off the land, which enabled his army to move quickly. He emphasized that the strength of the army is a product of mass and velocity. He promoted rapid movement through forced marches, doubling the distance a semi brigade can cover. Napoleon transformed the struggling army of Italy through his exceptional organizational skills and energy. His leadership combined both harshness and high praise, fostering a deep sense of esprit de corps. He believed that moral factors account for three-fourths of the battle, with physical strength only one-fourth. He also demonstrated exceptional physical courage in his battles, being on the forefront with his soldiers when bullets and cannonballs were flying everywhere. And that made him really dear to his troops. Napoleon excelled at one of the most challenging aspects of leadership, inspiring his followers. He made ordinary people believe that they are making history. They are a part of a great adventure, an epic, and they will be remembered for centuries. Napoleon studied the other great generals of the past and brought in improvement into the coordination of infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Some of his greatest generalmanship can be seen in the campaign of Champagne, where he won 4 battles in 5 days. He has this ability to turn disasters into opportunities and being on the offensive. Only 5 of his 60 battles were defensive. Napoleon's speed was legendary. He moved from Dresden to St. Cloud, covering 1380 kilometers in 4 days. Paris to Erfurt, 823 kilometers in 5 days. His armies mirrored his speed. In 1805, his army moved from Bologna to Ulm, covering hundreds of miles in just over a month without losing a man. Despite being born in a seaport, Napoleon never mastered any naval maneuvers. After his defeat at Trafalgar, he falsely believed that he could still build a fleet to defeat Britain, investing in this doomed initiative. On land, Napoleon was a military genius. Even his nemesis, the Duke of Wellington, said that Napoleon is the best captain of any age. He also mentioned that the presence of Napoleon on the battleground equals 40,000 men. That's quite a compliment. The great contemporary historian Andrew Roberts noted in his biography of Napoleon that Napoleon's crowning of himself was the ultimate triumph of the self-made man, and in one way a defining moment of the Enlightenment. It was also fundamentally honest. He had indeed got there through his own efforts. During his 16 years in power, many of the best ideas that underpin and actuate modern democracies today, such as meritocracy, equality before law, religious toleration, sound finances, and efficient administration, and so on, were protected from revolutionary maelstrom and codified into one unified set of laws. Napoleon's approach to leadership was reflective and meditative. It is not genius which reveals to me suddenly, secretly, what I have to say or do in a circumstance unexpected by other people. It is reflection, meditation. After the terror and disorder of the Directory, the French people wanted a conservative government, and Napoleon provided that. His idea of a stable society was an extension of the army led by its commander-in-chief. He declared that the romantic phase of the revolution is over and it is time to write its history. He was the last and greatest of the enlightened authoritarians of the 18th century who had a profound impact on Europe and improved the lives of his subjects. Napoleon's leadership qualities and charisma are not only exemplified by his success on the battlefield, but also in a variety of traits that he exhibited. For sheer intellectual prowess and its consistent application in government, Napoleon stands unmatched in history. His ability to foresee and meticulously plan for any kind of circumstances mark his ability as an administrator and a leader. Andrew Roberts noted he had transformed the art of leadership, built an empire, handed down laws for the ages, and joined the ancients. Will Durant concluded all the qualities of Renaissance Italy appeared in him: artist and warrior, philosopher and despot, unified in instincts and purposes, quick and penetrating in thought, direct and overwhelming in action, but unable to stop. Barring that vital fault, he was the finest master of controlled complexity and coordinated energy in history. I have been studying Napoleon for some time. For this video, I have used three primary sources. Two books are from Andrew Roberts, his biography of Napoleon titled Napoleon the Great and Leadership in War, another book from him. Also, I have used the book The Age of Napoleon from Will Durant. Thank you for watching this video. Check out some more content and I will see you soon. Bye.